Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is 5:31 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. This meeting is officially open with a quorum present. Trustee Anael Luevanos is appearing via video conference in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.127. I understand you can hear us. Trustee Luevanos, good to have you with us, sir. So in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, this meeting is officially open. So at this time, I would ask that you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all. I understand that we have on item number 3 that there are no recognitions for this evening, so we will move on to public comment. Let me remind you that because of the restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct the person to visit with staff about the issue. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature and issues of common and individual concern, the board will not hear complaints about specific individual employees or public officers during the public session. Speakers shall refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during their comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy to have a complaint heard pursuant to the applicable board policy. In accordance with Board Policy BED Local, speakers shall have a 3-minute time limit, and I ask that you please observe this rule. Furthermore, a speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another speaker. Delegations of 5 or more speakers shall appoint one person to present their views before the board, with the time not to exceed 5 minutes. First speaker for tonight, and I apologize for mispronouncing names if that so happens, is Alistair Ventiers, will be followed by Arnoldo Hurtado. I'm sorry, you may come up to the mic. Right there, thank you.
Good evening, President, members of the board, and superintendent. My name is Alistair Ventiers. I reside in Tarrant County, and I am here to talk about the Metro Opportunity High School Art Program. I graduated from the University of North Texas with a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I am a successful artist based here in Fort Worth. I also went to public school here. I want to start off by saying that art saves lives and it transforms communities. Art saved my life. It has given me purpose and has allowed me to flourish as an adult. To help pay it forward, I used to volunteer my time at Metro Opportunity High School doing various demos and workshops for the kids. That is where I got to see firsthand how this specific art program at Metro would completely change the life trajectory of the kids who ended up there. Many of the kids who end up at Metro come from low-income, broken, and dysfunctional families, like I did growing up. Fort Worth has been incredibly lucky to have this program at Metro because that classroom has been the individual intensive care that those students have needed to be saved from falling between the cracks. It is easy to turn a blind eye, and often the people who need something the most are the ones who are denied it. Fort Worth has a big heart, and it continues to champion the arts. As a fellow Fort Worth artist, I encourage you all to be a part of this movement and decide to continue the current art program at Metro. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Arnoldo Hurtado. Arnoldo will be followed by Amber Reed.
Good evening. We're passing out some folders so that you guys have some reference and some information on how we're conducting some of this and approaching this. My name is Arnoldo Hurtado, and I am a Fort Worth ISD alumnus and former Fort Worth ISD employee as a Texas Certified Art Teacher. I currently serve as a Carter Community Artist at the Amon Carter Museum of American Art and as a community advocate and educator in the far greater north side of Fort Worth. Today, I am here as a concerned member of the community. I was on vacation outside of the country when I received word from friends and members of the community about Fort Worth ISD's decision to cut art or contemplation to cut art from Metro Opportunity High School and replace it with a web-based program. While to some this may seem as an isolated and insignificant issue in the universe of issues that affect the school system and greater world, I beg to differ. In fact, I would like for all of us to pay special close attention to what exactly is happening here. Metro Opportunity High School is a DAEP, Disciplinary Alternative Education Program. This is where students with behavioral problems are sent and where they continue their work and where they are conditioned. What conditioning? That depends. If you have a successful art program like the one Joe Dufault created over several years, and where students are able to reflect, create, imagine, and transform, then you condition students to believe in themselves and then the power of creation. That includes the creation of a new self, a new path, and a world of possibilities. Without the program, however, surrounded by gray walls, prison-like campus, with police presence to remind you of your place, conditioning could mean a narrative of the prisoner, or the criminal, or the outlaw, or the bad student. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the sad but hard reality of the school-to-prison pipeline that states like Texas, which has one of the largest prison populations in the world, are happy to recruit. If we need any more evidence of an insidious presence in our own district, and this is where we get nitty-gritty, we need only look at a former employee, and I'm not going to mention names as per the request, but you know who I'm talking about, who was a teacher and working in the Fort Worth Independent School District since 1998. She recently made white supremacist remarks on Twitter and was let go. But the damage she caused since 1998 in the Fort Worth ISD will not be known. We do, however, know that our communities of color are under attack in this current climate. We will not sit idle while our children's future are also under attack, so please consider this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Amber Reed. Amber will be followed by Brandy Cunningham.
Good evening. My name is Amber Reed. I am the middle school counselor at Young Men's Leadership Academy, and I'm here in reference to the items numbers 9 through 11 on the approval list tonight. I feel it's my ethical obligation to come and advocate for my students for the Fort Worth After School program, because that program is vital to our young men in as far as academic as well as social emotional development. We have a wonderful staff of individuals that work with our students, and I feel that Young Men's Leadership Academy being left off of this program or being pulled from this program is an egregious error. The program provides a multitude of academic and social emotional support such as mentoring, study skills, and life skills that our scholars are in need. This past year, we have seen an increase in traumatic events shaping the lives of our students. Some of those events include neighborhood violence, abuse, suicide, poverty, and homelessness, not to mention the increased demands of in-class and out-of-class successes. These statistics are overwhelming and very much too much for me to mention in the short time that I have with you guys. I would like to offer this program as an ability for our students and our scholars at Young Men's Leadership Academy specifically to become victors over their challenges rather than victims of their circumstances. And this program is vital to that. We are succeeding at Young Men's Leadership Academy in part due to this program. One of the things that we do in that after-school program is we have small group counseling sessions. We have academic supports for those students, and all of those things are what cause our students to be successful, including test-taking skills, including all of the things that have made our test scores phenomenal successes. On top of that, and not to mention, this gives our parents since our students come from all over the district, gives our parents a place for their students to be safe, cared for, and out of trouble for the time it takes for them to get off of work and come pick their young men up. This is a vital program for our schools, and I really hope and pray that you reconsider pulling Young Men's Leadership Academy from this program. We serve grades 6 through 12, and there is a vast variety of needs that need to be addressed with that program. And so I hope and pray that you do reconsider to remove this program, as others have been removed from our campus in the recent past. I feel like it
Thank you.
would really be a sad thing. Thank you.
Next speaker is Brandy Cunningham, and then will be followed by Ginger Head.
Good evening. Hope that's good or not. My name is Brandy Cottingham, and I had emailed you the petition that's now become an international conversation. If you look at the remarks and the comments and the people that voted on that, you will find that not only were many people that got concerned about this conversation throughout our country, but it also went international. When I got the word that this was happening in our community, at first I felt like this is a past pattern, an archaic thinking style that I felt that as a community that we had moved through. A simple and naive way to solve, a problem that I might not have more details about. Standing here in front of you, I have been a professional artist for 6 years. I have been the executive director of BRC, which is a nonprofit that serves the Fort Worth ISD children that live in our shelters in the summer. We produce 10 weeks of summer camp. I could stand here and tell you story after story after story of those children that have walked into my studio and the miracles that I see take place because we create a safe space for these children to express and heal and thrive. I could tell you about the children that were failing, that won't let you take their picture, that won't speak to you and look into your eye. But after we put that material in front of them and we allow them the space to work those things out, they become A students, they become president of their classes, they decide to start college funds because they learn through the action of creating art that they are the creator. And then if we can teach them the wisdom of what it is to be an artist, then they can dream themselves a new reality, and they can go back into those communities, and they can support their siblings and their families to also learn what it is to be a creator. I believe that we're all artists. I found my artist in my early 30s. I do not have a degree or any formal training that says that I can do what I can do. But it was something that pulled me out of a dark time in my life that I trusted and went for. And now I've got work in New York and LA, and I get hired by major brands and corporations to work with their people because they want their people to understand what it is to be a balanced thinker. They call me in as a creative coach so that their people can understand what is the essence of collaboration. We learn that through art. We learn that through creating. We learn that through accessing that part of our brain that does that we all have. If we start cutting things like this, we are cutting out parts of our thinking that support all of the other aspects of our education and curriculum.
Thank you. Next is Ginger. Ginger will be followed by Joe Defoe.
I went to Mary Louise Phillips in the first grade, and I had measles, mumps, chicken pox, and every other childhood illness in first grade. And every time I would go back to school, I would be placed in a slower reading group, and my self-esteem fell far, far down. Many years later, and I went to Stripling in Arlington Heights, and I did pretty well in my grades, but reading was intimidating. And intimidating for me. Even when I got to Southern Methodist University, we were tested for reading skills, and I was posted on the wall as the slowest reader in the freshman class. But art saved me. I wanted to be an archaeologist so much because I love to dig for things and hunt for things. And they told me I couldn't do that at SMU because I was a young woman and all the places were taken by young men. So another blow came to my life. But suddenly, I was awakened. And then I grew up and I got married, and I had an 18-year marriage. My first husband left with another woman. My children were devastated, and we all stood together. But out of that, someone said there was something that you could do with seed money from the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. And it would be called Imagination Celebration, Fort Worth. The Kennedy Center approved it, and they still keep me as one of their partners. And the national, there was a time when House Bill 72 passed. It said no pass, no play, but it also limited field trips. And I was crushed for the children that would be like me. And I know I'm rambling all over the charts, but growing up, founding Imagination Celebration, I've shaken 3.5 million hand-counted children with 12.5 million experiences with that program. And I saw their lights come on. If we sent artists out into their schools, if we sent archaeologists out into the schools, those children that were lost in that same place, like the little girl and me, we need Metro for the kids that feel that they don't have hope. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Joe Dufault. Joe will be followed by Isaac Tate, the fourth.
President, members of the board, superintendent, my name is Joe Defoe. I live in Fort Worth, and I'm here to ask if you guys would consider leaving art at Metro. I have a picture right here, and I'm going to let this student also invite you to care. This is from the art room at Metro. Who am I? I'm Joe Defoe, and I taught at Metro for 8 years. 8 years. I taught for 11 years in elementary schools, and then Beverly Fletcher said, go save some lives. I said, okay. I walked in there, and I realized I had never been around kids like this. Mom's on crack, dad's in jail. Saw my dad shot right in front of me. I saw my mom sell herself to someone behind a convenience store so we could have food. I sat there every day for 8 years, and I listened to their stories. And I reminded them how beautiful they were and how powerful they were. And I can't even imagine an online class for these kids that are so wounded. I used to stand outside my door recruiting kids in my class. I looked for the most angry, the most hurt. I wanted to find someone who was angry and hurt and I knew needed help. And I'd go to them and I'd say, hey, you don't have art, do you? Why don't you come by today? If you have any free periods, please come and see me because I need you in my room because you need my help. Metro serves every high school in Fort Worth, North Side, East Side, West Side, and South Side. And I loved having all of them in that room together. And man, we are a family in that room. Students would come to my room and they'd say, "Ms. Dufault, I can feel myself." And I would preach all day long. I'd walk in there and they'd say, "Ms. Dufault, will you preach to us again?" They needed to hear these words because everywhere they go, they are met with indifference or violence. Look at this world. I want you to think, is there any place you know in Fort Worth that you go to and you feel safe? Someone is telling you you're beautiful and someone is caring about you. We need sacred space all over this city. We need to care about our kids. I love Fort Worth. I live part-time now in Chicago. I had to retire because my daughter was sick. So I live part-time in Chicago, and I'm so proud of Fort Worth. We are an entrepreneurial city, and we support each other, and we are full of life, and it's a family-based city. So let's be radical. Let's care. I just have to say one thing. It's all about numbers. Well, we're taking these kids out of overcrowded classes, and some of them didn't even get art, and we're putting them in a room 5 to 1 so that they're getting the help they need. Please keep this alive.
Thank you, Ms. Cho. Next, we have Isaac. Isaac will be followed by Jamie Willingham.
All right, my name is Isaac Tate IV. I just want to say a few things. What has Fort Worth ISD not been able to do? Reach the 23rd child in the classroom who needs help the most, but is afraid to raise his or her hand because they are afraid of the response. They are afraid of the looks and the comments they will receive when they echo the words, "I don't understand." Some of them don't raise their hand at all because they're too focused on when their next meal is going to come and where it's going to come from. Some of them don't raise their hand because they are focused on who will be at home when they ring the doorbell to be let in. Some of them don't raise their hand because they feel nobody cares anyway. Now I'm here, a product of Young Men's Leadership Academy, a product of the first graduating class, and a product of 100% college acceptance rate. A Texas Wesleyan University history major with a specific interest in African history. But this is beside the point. What was the purpose of the after-school program? Their mission verbatim is to provide quality enrichment programs that foster the emotional, social, and educational development of children, youth, and families right here in Tarrant County. The approach, the target, the main demographic, our focus are our children. Stop shortchanging our children. YMLA has dealt with the lack of support in regard of quality learning facilities, yet by test scores and other measures, we are standout performers in education. YMLA has dealt with the lack of quality athletic programming, yet we were forced into a 6A district, but that same year we made football and basketball playoffs. YMLA has dealt with the lack of opportunity, and now you're taking away an integral program that develops our young men, the after-school program. When are our black and brown children going to become important in this district? How do we have more black and brown children in this district, but the black and brown students are the least recognized? Our children go home every day with their last meal being the one they had at lunchtime, or they have to spend the little money they have at vending machines. Well, in the after-school program actually feeds the scholars as soon as they leave class for dismissal and dinner time. Not only literal food, but food for thought. Students receive cultural empowerment, something they don't receive in the daytime. Students receive athletic and health benefits by participating in outdoor activities and healthy snacks. Students receive mentors like me to look up to. I was a scholar in Fort Worth after-school program, and now I'm employed by them. But it isn't about me losing a job. It's just about the students losing yet again in a world that's stacked against them. Stop shortchanging our future, because when you shortchange our future, you can only expect short change.
Thank you, Isaac. Next is Jamie. Jamie will be followed by Jennifer Best. Nobody? So Jennifer, if you're here. And Jennifer will be followed by Jan Curry.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Best. I'm an art teacher with the Fort Worth ISD. This is my 19th year with the district and my 22nd year in education. I've been conducting research on art education in the classroom informally for over 20 years, but more academically in terms of action research and records of study in the past 4 years as I've pursued a master's degree, a principal certification, and a doctoral degree. I'm here to speak about the program at Metro Opportunity High School. I've read countless books and journals, white papers, dissertations, research plans, theses, any kind of document about instructional best practices for students and curriculum exemplars. I've attended countless hours of training in very specific pedagogies like project-based learning, applied learning, bilingual education, diversity and inclusion, as well as social and emotional learning. Many of my training opportunities have been through the Fort Worth ISD. With that being said, I have yet to encounter a training that advocated replacing a teacher with a computer. That's why I was truly shocked that a campus serving our most vulnerable students would have an art teacher cut and replaced with a digital learning system of any kind. I have written curriculum for this district for over 10 years, and I haven't been told yet that the delivery of our classes was going to be online exclusively, especially in a hands-on intensive course like visual arts. Now, I personally have studied and developed a flipped classroom where the background information on a topic was delivered electronically, and then class time was spent doing hands-on activities and interacting among the students and with the instructor. But research, however, shows that this particular model is not a successful tool for students who are at risk. They need human interaction to remain connected and engaged in school. I've compiled for each of you in that little folder that Arnaldo handed out to you an annotated bibliography of research regarding this topic. I'm going to say brief because I had to really restrain myself on this. There is so much research on the effect of arts and at-risk students. All the sources in your book are peer-reviewed and academic. Your bibliography is limited to research conducted since 2001. And I really limited myself and only included one article from an art education publication. Everything else comes from psychology, sociology, education administration, government agencies, educational researchers, and so on and so on. From my personal research in teaching at-risk youth, as well as teaching former offenders transitioning out of incarceration, I've seen the transformative power of creating something personal and unique. I've witnessed the calming effect of art materials on a troubled soul. I've been amazed by the deep emotional connection people develop with the art they make. It's empowering, and it's cathartic, and it's essential for learning coping skills. Art has pulled me out of some very dark places, and I know it does the exact same thing for my students. They've told me so, and I've seen it. I've seen the living proof. Please, do not deny the students at Metro this opportunity as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Jan Curry. Jan will be followed by Beverly Fletcher.
Good evening. I'm Jan Curry. I'm a concerned citizen, a business owner, a mother, a grandmother, and a product of the Fort Worth ISD. In fact, my whole family, Jennifer being my daughter, have attended Fort Worth ISD. I've had the pleasure and the opportunity of visiting our elementary schools, our middle schools, and our high schools, and not only as a parent, but as a volunteer. And one of the high schools that stands out the most to me is Metro. I was there with a group, and we were handing out afternoon snacks as the kids left school to get on the bus. And I'm waiting in the hallway, and all of a sudden I look up, nobody else is there, and this young woman comes walking towards me with sort of a frown on her face. And she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm here to volunteer and giving out snacks after school." And she had a paper rolled up. And I said, "What is that?" And she said, "You don't want to see it." And I said, "I'd love to see it." And she unfolded the most amazing self-portrait I believe I'd ever seen. And I looked at it and I said, "This is wonderful." And she said, "Really? You like it?" I said, "You're very, very talented. Do you study art?" And she said, "No, ma'am. Just here at Metro, it's the only time I get to draw." And I said, "You don't get to take things home. You don't do it at home. She said, no, ma'am, it's just here. Would you like to see some more art? So this was walking down the hallway. I saw these amazing pictures. And if you all have not gone over there to see some of the artwork that these kiddos have done, it's absolutely amazing. And I just urge you so much to not get rid of this program, because it is the first time that these kids have an opportunity to express themselves. In fact, I've got a couple of the pictures hanging in my house, which I love. Anyway, you can sort of see what they're showing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we have Beverly Fletcher. And
Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I am so glad to be here. You know, this is my home. I spent 43 years here dedicating my heart, life, and soul to the students of Fort Worth ISD, and I love each of you. Y'all are so dedicated. You're so true. You're so faithful. You're so good. We have the best school board in the whole nation, the world, true, even. I don't even know if they have school boards in Japan, but we can certainly go against any school board in the whole world. Y'all are absolutely my heroes. So I say that because I know you. I went through 8 different superintendents when I was here on my 43 years. I retired, by the way, in January, and I was so sorry to retire because people would say, Beverly, are you going to ever retire? And I'd say never. But then my husband did get ill, and he's better now. He did almost die 3 times. But we've been following that journey and trusting God, and thank you for all the prayers and everything good. And I am so proud to have been in the Fort Worth ISD because that's where action is to help children. And I know that's your heart, that's my heart, that's everybody's heart. To say the children, the students of the Fort Worth ISD is where we are pouring ourselves into because we believe that we can make a difference in their lives. So anyway, I had Arnaldo. Will you hold up some of these photographs? We did some photographs of the Metro kids, and I did want to interrupt myself because I want to honor my dear friend, colleague, and precious, precious sister. I call her my heart sister, Jo Defoe. She recently retired because of a very sad time. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting a little nervous. Okay. But I have some flowers for her, and I want to tell y'all what a great advocate she is for the students of Fort Worth and for the Fort Worth ISD. As you can see, we all stop everything and listen. She could take her show on the road anywhere and inspire people to greatness, and that's what she's done at Metro, as well as she's trained the new art teacher to do the same. And we don't want that program to end because the students are valuable, and the art program is vital to their development and their belief in themselves. But I want to stop right here and say, I love Jo Defoe, and I have her a basket of flowers right here. And Jo, come up here. I know I'm deviating from the program, but I have to say we need to honor this woman, and I would like to give her these flowers in a recognition of her service, 20 years worth and more, and her heart and her life. And she's just retired, but nobody threw a party. Nobody did anything because she had to leave. But I am giving her a party in my heart because of her great work. And let's all clap and stand for her for a standing ovation for Miss Jo Defoe, amazing art teacher. Thank you so much. And I'm out of time, but you know I could talk a little bit more.
Thank
but
you.
It is about the children, and I do believe
Thank
in
you,
y'all.
Beverly.
Thank you.
next, believe it's Gruger Gearhead, I believe. Is that right? Gragan? Can't read the writing too well. That doesn't ring a bell? Live on Dexter? No? Oh, okay. Jessica Fuentes? Jessica will be followed by Sarah Ayala.
Hi,
My name is Jessica Fuentes. I'm a parent of a student in Fort Worth ISD. I'm a past art teacher with Fort Worth ISD, and I'm an alumni of Fort Worth ISD. I graduated from Arlington Heights High School in 2001, and though I never went to Metro Opportunity, high school was a tough time for me. I suffered from depression, and I withdrew from family and friends. I skipped school because I didn't see the relevance of what was being taught and was bored in most of my classes. My junior year of high school, I took my first art course because it was part of the requirements for graduation. It's not an exaggeration to say that that class changed my life. In art class, I was able to express myself and work through my depression. In art class, I was successful, and I enjoyed my time. I went from wanting to be anywhere else other than school to arriving to school early and staying late to work on my projects. My enthusiasm for art translated into an enthusiasm for all my classes. My art is what landed me a full scholarship to UT Dallas for undergrad and put me on the path for my future. Since graduating from Arlington Heights, I've received a BA in Art and Performance from UTD, a Master's in Art Education from UNT. I've worked for over 13 years in art education, both in the classroom and in museums. I'm currently the manager of school and community outreach at the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. Had it not been for my high school art class, I'm not sure what my path would have been. I'm here today to ask you to reconsider the decision to remove the art teacher from Metro because I know the transformative power that art can have on people, especially students who are struggling and are in need of a place to channel and work through their emotions and issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Ayala. Sarah will be followed by Amber Bailey.
Good evening. My name's Sarah Ayala, and I'm a full-time professional artist here in Fort Worth. I was actually a part of Imagination Celebration at South High Mount, and I went to an alternative school in Birdville that had no art program whatsoever. Art has positively impacted my life as it's my chosen career path now, but I'd like to speak on the impact of art to non-artists, especially to developing minds in schools, more specifically to socioeconomically disadvantaged minority children. Art is an expression of the freedom to act. It opens you to the idea that you can create change, even on a sheet of paper. Art, on a microcosmic level, shows children that you can make the world you live in. You do not simply inherit the world you live in. To children that are so disadvantaged and have unhealed generational traumas, it's important to show them that they make their own path in life. You don't have to do what your family has always done, and you don't have to do what your friends are doing now. Art gives you the courage to be a creator and not a bystander. It promotes activity and denounces passivity. When you speak to adolescents that are teetering on the edge of life in the system, their approaches to the future are almost always passive, as if these negative incidents that they're experiencing are just things that are happening to them. Art and discussions on art in the classroom settings can demonstrate how to challenge the opinion of others and of yourself in a healthy manner. It inspires critical thinking. Art is a way to challenge the given. To many of these children, their path in life is a given, to struggle socially in a country that has been built against them, in economic classes that are created to keep them under. Art gives them the tools and inspiration to believe they can challenge their path in life, that they don't have to be bystanders. Art and creativity is not simply the decor of society. They are integral to human advancement. Creativity is a muscle that is exercised in non-art environments. The solutions to humanity's biggest problems will most likely not be provided by artists, but by the creative spirit that we can foster now in schools like Metro. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Amber is next, followed by Cedric Huckabee.
Hello and good evening. My name is Amber Bailey, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you. I wrote something, but I'm going to deviate. I'm just going to, because it echoes what other people have spoken about, and I'm going to talk to this subject of Metro. As an art teacher, this August will begin my 17th year in Fort Worth ISD. I cannot believe it. I started at Eastern Hills High School. From Eastern Hills, I went to Lily B. Clayton Elementary, and now I'm at Young Women's Leadership Academy, where I teach 6th through 12th grade. Art has literally saved my life. I have seen students who have come to me, or actually even been sent to my room, because it is a healing place. And that healing place cannot be replaced by a computer. And I am very concerned about that. I want to speak for the teachers and for the need of human interaction, because that is what changes lives. Being able to take your hands, even if you are, a math person or a fill in all the squares person. Everybody benefits from putting your hands in clay or taking a piece of charcoal and just moving it around a piece of paper. Everyone benefits from that. That tactile feeling soothes your soul, soothes those angry voices that you may have. Being able to converse with other students, with your teacher who has lived life, right? Like, that's what makes a difference. When you see students that are failing in all other aspects of their life, but they can't wait to get into your classroom because they want to feel that safe environment and know that they cannot fail, and they succeed, and they find success, and that success builds, and they become successful in other classes because they're encouraged by what they've done. And now they want to go out and find other things that they can be successful in. And when they speak to other people, that anger is subsided, and they can see through it, and they begin to change and save their life. They stop that pipeline that we see, and they become citizens and community members that we all want to interact with. And as our mission with Fort Worth ISD, I cannot imagine removing a teacher and replacing it with a computer program. It hurts my heart. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. Next, we have Cedric Huckabee. Cedric will be followed by Lori Holford.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm coming advocating for the Metro Art class. Art is absolutely a intellectual endeavor, and it's also, as evidenced by everyone here, it transforms lives. I'm a student of O.D. White High School. I grew up in taking some of the art classes, and there's a number of people here. I was in programs that Ginger started. I was in the school district that Beverly was over. I'm a product of this system. And I can tell you that art has totally transformed my life. And I've seen it. Some of my students are in this room today. And so it transforms lives. I grew up in O.D. Wyatt. After graduating O.D. Wyatt, I eventually went to Boston University with an art scholarship. I found out that as an intellectual endeavor, art, it allowed me, I was an introverted young person, and I couldn't play football. I wasn't too good in sports, and even things like writing and reading and writing, I was average with those. But with art, I had some ability and insight, and there's a lot of kids at that Metro, they'll find themselves in that same boat. And what happens is, when they touch that realm of art, it gives them the confidence, as some have said already, to grow in those other areas And that's what happened with me. I was more confident in other areas because I was confident in art. So I went on to Boston University, where I graduated with my undergraduate degree. And after Boston, I went to Yale University for art, and I graduated with my master's degree at 23. After graduating Yale, I won Yale's highest award in art. And I traveled France, Italy, and Spain studying old master paintings. But eventually, I decided to move back to the area because in art, it's an education that's not just based on numbers and facts. There's a little bit in the education of art that has to do with a hands-on, person-to-person thing. And I had a heart for this area. And so today, that was age 23, graduating Yale. And this is 20 years later. I'm 43. Today, I'm an educator at the University of Texas at Arlington. We're starting a mural class that has the potential to transform Arlington. I'm also working on a house project in the Polytechnic area. We've been doing this under the radar, but it has the potential to be an incubator in that area to help bring a kind of cultural transformation in that area. And I have students who sprinkle not only this place, but one of my students is the former President George W. Bush.
Thank you, Cedric.
Art can transform lives.
Thank you.
I'm a witness to that, and I'm just advocating for this program.
Next, we have Lori Halford. Lori will be followed by Ricky Cotto.
Mr. President, members of the board, and the superintendent, thank you for this time. Lori Halford, and I'm here to ask you to continue in support of Metro. And I was an at-risk student. I came from a very volatile home, and my grades were, I was lucky if I got a C. So I was not in a situation with math or science or any of those things to make a living and to be a community support. My art teachers are the ones that have kept me in school. They said I could graduate, and they would encourage me and move me forward where I wasn't getting that from my house. Where I graduated from high school, and I have 3 pieces of art. I have a statue, a painting, and a sketch up in my house that constantly remind me of where I came from. I ended up going to Paris Junior College and became a jeweler. And from Paris, I went to Santa Monica, California, and worked for the Gemological Institute of America. This is a kid with no education other than vocation. And I was the first woman teacher there. And there's so many of these kids that's all they need is just someone to look at them and to motivate them. It's not that an English teacher or a math teacher or science teacher cannot do that, but children are more relaxed in a situation where there's art involved. But I truly believe in what this program is doing, and I just ask you to continue to support it.
Thank you. Next, we have Ricky Cotto. Ricky will be followed by Brittany Hatcher.
Good evening. My name is Ricky Cotto, or Ricky Cotto, and I am not an artist. I'm the lead pastor of City Post Church in Fort Worth, and we are in the Samuel Avenue, Rock Island, and Uptown area. I am a supporter of the arts programs, not just in Metro, but also in the public schools and in our community and for the city of Fort Worth. I've personally seen the benefit of what it brings to the community. And I know that difficult decisions have to be made as a board and as leadership in the ISD, especially when it comes to things like budgets. But my hope is that all options are exhausted before removing the arts program at Metro and replacing it with a computer. And I'm fearful that this is just the beginning that's going to create a domino effect for the rest of our schools. I'm also confident that the leadership will make the right decision, not just for the future of our schools, but also the future of our students and how this is going to trickle down to the future of our city. So thank you so much for your time, and God bless.
Thank you. Next is Brittany, and Brittany will be followed by our final speaker for the evening, which is Nancy Cepeda.
Greetings. I'm Brittany Hatcher, a parent from Young Men's Leadership Academy, and I'm both happy and sad because as much as we stay winning, we're always losing. Taxpayers voted for us and others to get a brand new campus, and this is a win. Not sure if you caught Fox 4's news story last week. YMLA was the only school in Texas to advance and win the YE National Contest to bring Change for Kids, a financial literacy program built by YMLA students to stop 6 families. Another win. Unfortunately, we lost a teacher that built that team. She was surplused. This is the type of program we were planning with our awesome after-school leader, alongside SAT Prep, Scholarships 101, and more. Last year, our class of just 30-plus seniors secured over $9 million of scholarship money. What would happen if they had an after-school track and an after-school program? I tell you what would happen, they'd win again. YMLA is winning. Our test scores say so. Our college acceptance rates say so. Our scholarship balance says so. But we're also losing. Having worked as a Fort Worth after-school coordinator for FWISD for 4 or 5 years myself, I know how important this program is when utilized as a true extension of the school day. YMLA's program did that plus some. Mark Carter does that plus some. When word of losing this program spread, we felt like losers again, losing another relationship, another safe haven for our students, another launch pad for creativity, another crime combatant, a place for latchkey students. Like I said earlier, I'm happy and I'm sad. But I got happy again when I saw the articles in today's board meeting, Articles 9, 10, and 11 suggest that there is indeed funding for after-school programs in leadership academies. YMLA is the only single-gender school of choice in Fort Worth that admits students solely on the ClickPoint application via the lottery system. No interviews, and as of last year, no essay. Although as a parent, I would love to see that essay came back. I don't know how we lost that. What I'm saying is we literally admit all students no matter what background or needs, and we take them from 0 or wherever they are to 100 real quick. To do so, to continue to do what the district has called us to do, we have to stay winning, guys. We need your support. We need our programs to stay intact. We need our people to stay in place. We need our resources. And at the time when parents will be at work and students are free to roam and do whatever, we need to keep the spark in students' community by capitalizing on out-of-school time. The funds are a drop in the bucket compared to the lives that we serve. Please vote to keep YMLA's Young Men Leadership Academies, the second leadership academy in Fort Worth's after-school program in place. Please vote to help us win. Thank you.
Thank you. Final speaker for the night is Nancy Cepeda.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here as a parent, as somebody that really, really cares about art. I used to work with the ISD, but I was in early childhood. And let me tell you, those children in early childhood can really, really want to express themselves. And that goes for the upper class right now that y'all want to take those monies and put them for computers. I think that having the ability to write, to pick up a pen, to pick up a crayon is very important. The same it is as important as the people in Metro, the students there that really would like. This says happy anniversary. These are from my grandchildren when they were younger. I've kept them through the years. And this is the latest right here. It's an expression. I feel sad and happy at the same time. This is an expression my granddaughter did for her dad that just passed away. And I know that other children, if they don't have the opportunity to do so, they will not get the opportunity to express themselves and be their own person. And I was so happy that my grandchild, it didn't even take her like 20 minutes. It was like, Grandma, do you have paper? And I said, I sure do. Paper and pen and crayons, pencils of all kinds of colors. And she did this. I was surprised to see her because she has not cried, but she has expressed herself through art. And that for me is very important. My son died, and the money that they got from GoFundMe for my daughter-in-law, whatever is left over, she's gonna donate it for a scholarship in art for my son, under my son's name, for him, because he loved art. He went to Northside back in the 90s. He graduated. He was in love with one of his teachers that would let him do whatever in art. And I believe that I heard that she passed away. I don't know if you're familiar back in the day in the 90s, but I am a concerned citizen that, to me, having the opportunity of expressing yourself is very meaningful, because that's what my son did. And he passed it to my granddaughter. And I believe that when you have that in your family.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Please do not take that program away. We all need it, especially the students.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts this evening. We're going to do something a little differently tonight. This evening will remain convened in the boardroom for discussion of consent agenda items. So at this time, we'll move over to that. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder that all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Are there any questions concerning agenda items this evening? Trustee Paz?
Yes, on the items pertaining to the after-school program, so we have a list of the ones that are going to have the programs, but we do not have, if we don't see which ones are losing programs. How was the decision made on which after-school programs would be phased out?
So, Ms. Paz, Mr. Garcia is our director of the Fort Worth After School Program. We asked him to be here tonight to be able to answer any questions.
Yes, there was a subcommittee from our coordinating board over a series of meetings in January and February. We discussed funding and what it entailed. We anticipated a slight cut in funding for this year, and that was realized. One of the things we discussed, one of the schools that we discussed at length was YMLA. YMLA was a recipient of 21st Century federal funds through the 17-18 school year. Their funding ceased after that school year. We talked about having them continue for the 18-19 school year. As things occurred, as fate might have it, one of the middle schools that was going to be funded for 18-19, the principal asked to opt out for this year while he got himself established and his staff established. And so that allowed us to move funding from that middle school to YMLA. But we knew YMLA would be a challenge again for the 19-20 school year. There were 10 sites in that last round of 21st Century funding, and many of the schools did not receive funding, continued funding, because we're still operating at a funding level right now that we've been operating since 2005. And we were originally intended to provide programming for 52 sites at that time. We're now providing funding for 66 sites right now. And so the money is stretched very thin.
So what is that funding source? Is it state, federal?
It's local dollars, a combination of local dollars and CCPD funds. If you all recall, our program, we received $1.3 million from the CCPD to provide after-school programming, and 1.1 from the school district.
No, I'm saying from Ashley, is that, you good? Okay. Okay. Trustee Andar?
Two items. One, to follow up on what you just said, okay, and please know that I'm working off of my iPad, which has my consent agenda items, and I'm scrolling through right now, and I'm not finding what I want. But I made a note as I was reviewing this before the board meeting that for agenda item number 11 for the after-school, that $814,200 were provided by the Rainwater Foundation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That some of the funding is coming from the Rainwater Foundation?
Rainwater funding is for the 5 leadership academies.
The elementary schools?
And Forest Oak Middle School.
And
four
that's
elementary.
Correct.
And one
but
middle school.
not the Young Men's Leadership Academy?
That's correct.
Two other items. One of them is number 4, approve the infield renovations for baseball and softball fields. I'm not arguing against that, but I do want to bring up the point that we're investing a significant amount of money in these fields, which I am glad that we're doing, but I also want to note that security can often be an issue on these fields, and I know that as the mother of a baseball player at a Fort Worth ISD high school, between break-ins and vandalism, including cars doing donuts in the middle of the field, there was a significant amount of damage done. That doesn't mean we shouldn't replace these fields. I just want to bring that up because I think that we need to, if we're going to be investing in the fields, we need to be protecting that investment. The other thing that I'm, just for full disclosure purposes, number 22, approve the authorization for professional development by Abydos Literacy Learning. I am an Abydos Literacy and Learning Writing Project trainer. I do not receive any funding from them for any purposes. I am not paid by them, but I am a trainer for the Abydos Literacy and Learning Writing Project.
Looks like no other questions or comments on consent agenda. I'm sorry, Mr. Trustee Quentin Phillips.
Thank you, President Ramos. I don't fully know what's going on with everything so far, but I want that after-school program to stay at YMLA. So we need, whatever we need to do to figure that out, that's what I would like to happen. And also I hear the concerns of the people talking about the art program in Metro. Don't fully know what's happening with all of that as well. But I would love to see our students be able to benefit from anything that we can provide them that is going to be in their best interest to be able to help them. So more comment than question, but that's where I'm at with those two things.
Since it's not on the agenda per se, we'll take note of your comment.
Okay,
thank you. Trustee Andar?
Can we get some numbers on what the cost would be in order to keep the after-school program at YMLA?
Thank you. Trustee Norman Robbins?
Could we pull those two issues this evening and come back and look at them again next time?
So I'm hearing a request to pull the consent agenda item on after-school program?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
And I'd also like us to look at the Metro issues
Okay.
in more detail somehow.
Absolutely.
Mr. Robbins, just for clarification, we have 3 different after-school consent agenda items. Are you asking that we just pull the item that, YMLA was
Please.
under, but we could continue with the other 2 items?
Please.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. We will do that. We'll pull that for later on today. And looks like we have no other questions or comments. I'm sorry, Trustee Andar?
Sorry, me again. Which one is it that is, there's 9, 10, and 11, so which one are we pulling?
I think it's 11, isn't it?
So, Mr. Robbins, actually, we could go on with the consent agenda items and continue to look at
Okay.
other funding for YMLA and bring back the numbers rather
fine.
than pull the whole agenda item for the other contracts for the after-school, Fort Worth after-school programming?
That would be fine. Thank you.
So I'm hearing a request for two agenda items for the next board meeting.
Right.
One on the Metro Art and two on YMLA after-school programming and funding source.
Thank you.
For review for the board. Okay? So we will stay with these consent agenda items so that you don't hold up the progress with the other schools?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Toby Jackson?
Thank you, President Ramos. If we could get clarification, Mr. Garcia stated that funding is for 52 sites from 2005. You're now funding 66, is that correct? Could you bring us an update on that so we fully understand the dire straits that funding for after school is in?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, President Ramos.
You're welcome. Okay, looks like no more questions or comments from the board, so this will conclude our discussion of agenda items. We will now recess for executive session at the board conference room. For executive session is authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Sections 551.071, .072, .074, and .076. And as a note, Trustee Ana Luevanos will continue to participate via video conference in accordance with Sections 551.127.
registration with a mobile device. By the way, we have our coffee and conversation going on right now. Oh, perfect.
Okay, in accordance with the opens meeting law, the board opened the meeting at 5:31 PM in a boardroom with a quorum present, recessed and reconvened open session of board conference room and adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 8:11 PM in the boardroom with a quorum present. Moving on to number 11, accepting consent agenda. Do I have a motion accepting consent agenda items? No items were removed. I have a motion by trustee Jackson, a second by trustee Paz. Any discussion on consent agenda? Looks like no discussion. Please move to vote. And motion is going to pass 7-4-0 against. Trustee Luevanos has given the thumbs up for accepting consent. Thank you. 12A will not be voted on. We had nothing pulled. We'll move on to 12B, personnel. Do I have a motion on personnel as discussed in executive session? We have a motion by Mr. Robbins, trustee Robbins. We have a second. We have a second by trustee Paz. Any discussion on personnel? Looks like no discussion. Please move to vote. Trustee Luevanos given the thumbs up. It is, motion passes 7-4-0 against. Dr. Scribner, you would like to make any introductions on personnel?
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Karen Molinar and to Elsie Shiro, who can take us through those three appointments.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner and board. We would like to congratulate Executive Director of Collegiate Program and Advisement, Dr. Anita Perry. She's unable to be with us this evening, but she is currently employed with Fort Worth ISD, and she will be doing a great job in this role.
Yes, and with great pleasure, I have the pleasure of introducing David Meganson as the Executive Director over Payroll Benefits, Risk Management, and Business Systems. David's been with us for over 11 years and highly involved in all of our business processes and well prepared to take on this position. So, David, he is here. He'll stand and give us...
And our final personnel appointment is an interim chief academic officer. We are happy to announce Jerry Moore will be taking on that role as we continue to do a search for that, that position. Jerry Moore.
Thank you. Congratulations to all. Look forward to your service. Moving on to action agenda items, there will not be any action required on A, B, or C, so we'll be moving on to 13D, approval of district teaching permit for non-core CTE courses. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by trustee Jackson, a second by trustee Dar. Any discussion? Ms. Jackson?
I just want to commend staff. This is a hard program to run, any of these medical programs, and to bring people in. And thank you for giving us this option because it definitely provides the best education for our kids. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Jackson, looks like there's no more discussion. Please move to vote. Trustee Luevanos is given a thumbs up as well, so the motion passes 7-4-0 against. Moving on to 13E, approved board resolution and contract of sale to purchase 15-acre parcel being part of Tract 2B Langston Elizabeth Survey, Abstract 988, City of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas, known as Section Jerry Dunn Parkway and proposed collector road, Fort Worth, Texas 76126, or by eminent domain if final offer is declined. So I have a motion by trustee Robbins and a second by trustee Dar. Any discussion? Looks like no discussion. Please move the vote. Trustee Luevanos is given a thumbs up. Motion passes 7-4-0 against. Moving on to 13F, approved board resolution and contract of sale to purchase a 15-acre parcel of the Nathan Proctor Survey, Abstract 1229, Tract 1, Tarrant County, Texas 76126, also known as 1901 RM Road 2871, Fort Worth, Texas 76126. We have a motion by Mr. Robbins and a second by Ms. Jackson. Any discussion? Looks like no discussion. Please move to vote. Trustee Llewellyn is also given the thumbs up, so motion passes 7-4 and 0 against. 13G, approved board resolution and contract of sale to purchase a 14-acre parcel of tract 2A04, abstract 1565, TNNORRCO survey, also known as 11553 Benbrook Boulevard, Benbrook, Fort Worth, Texas 76126. We have a motion by Mr. Robbins. We have a second by Mrs. Paz. Any discussion? Looks like we have no discussion. Please move to vote. Trustee Llewellyn is given a thumbs up. Motion passes 7-4 and 0 against. 13H, approval of the MOU between Fort Worth ISD and Tarrant County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program for 2019-2020 school year. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Trustee Jackson and a second by Trustee Robbins. Any discussion? Only discussion from my end is that I will be abstaining, considering that I work for the county juvenile department. Thank you. Please move the vote. Trustee Luevanos is given a thumbs up. So motion passes 6-4 and 1 abstention. 13I, approval of the personnel contract between Fort Worth ISD and Tarrant County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program for teaching services during 2019-2020 school year. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Trustee Jackson, a second by Trustee Robbins. Any discussion? Discussion again. I'm abstaining for the same reason as before. Looks like no other discussion. Please move to vote. Trustee Luevanos is given the thumbs up. Motion passes 6-4 and 1 abstention. At this time, moving on to comments by the board members or superintendent on current district activities and/or announcements. Do we have any comments from my colleagues on the board before I read a statement or a letter here? Looks like no comments or, I'm sorry. Trustee Luevanos? I don't think we can hear. I don't think the sound's working, Trustee Luevanos. We'll try to see if we can get it. Okay, you good? No. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that statement here in a sec. I've got a letter that Dr. Scribner, the superintendent, myself as the board president, and the rest of the board received today. And I was asked to read this to the public on behalf of Trustee Dr. T.A. Sims, representative of District 4. So it says, referencing the resignation of Dr. T.A. Sims, Senior, District 4. He says, first, let me say that I love and respect each of you. Thank you so much for respecting my much-needed time for rest and recovery. I have had the privilege of serving Fort Worth ISD in the District 4 for 30-plus years by fulfilling the responsibilities necessary to better the education of our students and to enable them to have a well-rounded school experience. In my tenure as board member, I've had the honor of serving as president, vice president, and secretary. And I might note that he was the first African-American school board president in the history of Fort Worth ISD. I have always given my best for our students and represented the Fort Worth community with character and respect throughout my tenure. I am confident that the work that I have done will speak volumes to my service, love, and commitment to our students, staff, administration, and the community. I will continue to encourage and support the progression of Fort Worth ISD. I wish everyone the very best and pray God's choice blessings upon each of you as you continue to strive for excellence in this educational journey. To my fellow board members, administration, principals, staff, schools, and community friends, please know that your thoughts, prayers, and well wishes are always welcome and appreciated. Sincerely, Dr. T.A. Sims, Sr., District 4. That, want to make sure that I've got Trustee Luevano's commentary. Trustee Luevanos wants to thank the Communications Department for making this meeting possible for him to attend. Okay, looks like, yeah, more thumbs up. With that, we don't have any more comments for this meeting, so this meeting is now adjourned.